is the first thing that comes into your mind when you hear the word Filipinos? We've asked this question to our fellow Filipinos with a large age gap. We've interviewed a high school student and a man who is in his retiring age. What the student answered is that the first thing that comes into his mind is the El Gama Penumbra, or the grand champion of the recently held Asia's Got Talent. He added that our fellow Filipinos are our pride in the international community. While the older man's reply was that the first thing that he associates Filipinos with is the EDSA revolution, because at EDSA, he really saw the courage, determination, and strength of purpose. He saw the real unity of Filipinos and concern for one another. And that's the way Filipinos should be, making actions and standing for one another. Unlike today, it is hardly seen. Filipinos now have disregard for the common good because of self-interest. Also, some Filipinos become passive, expecting the leaders to take all the responsibility for solving the problems, which can be watched in the news today. Filipino citizens always blaming Pinoy, Bina, or whoever politician that is for every problem that arises. But they don't realize that they have also their fault. They also have lack of discipline. In that way also, Filipinos make themselves slaves of their weaknesses, being passive and having lack of discipline that gradually diminishes their sense of belongingness or real identity as Filipinos. Yes, we already acquired our freedom from our colonizers, but we make the sacrifices of our heroes to be in vain. So, to recall what Filipinos had done and sacrificed during the reign of colonizers and how early Filipinos felt their sense of belongingness, let's take a look back with their history. What we learned from our Philippine history and philosophy classes, before Spaniards came, Filipinos had already established law, tradition, culture, and had a community. But they still did not call themselves Filipinos. They only knew that they belonged to a community which they call barangay. They welcomed the Spaniards when the Spaniards came. The Spaniards built town so Filipinos could settle there and could easily evangelize them. But some Spaniards who were assigned by the King of Spain as officials became abusive to the Filipinos. They deprived Filipinos with the rights to their own land, which became the reason of Filipinos' revolution against the Spaniards. This established an imagined community to the minds of Filipinos. They fought for their rights and their fellow Filipinos' rights, even though they did not personally know them. This also rises to their unity, thus realization to their identity as Filipino. This also became the beginning of building the state or nation, recognizing Filipino citizenship. Now, we're done with our history. How Filipinos realized their citizenship through fighting for their rights. On the technical aspect, the Bureau of Immigration has guidelines to classify Filipino citizens. So, Raya, what has the Constitution said about this?
Under the 1987 Philippine Constitution, Article 4, Section 1, it states that the following are citizens of the Philippines by first, those who are citizens of the Philippines at the time of the adoption of this Constitution. Secondly, those fathers and mothers are citizens of the Philippines. Thirdly, those born before January 17, 1973, of Filipino mothers who elect Philippine citizenship upon reaching the age of majority. Lastly are those who are naturalized in accordance of law. In acquiring Filipino citizenship, generally there are two recognized forms. First is Filipino by birth, and second is Filipino by naturalization. Let's discuss it over. So, who is a Filipino citizen? To sum it all up, we think that being a Filipino is in the mind and in the heart, being selfless like our heroes, disregarding our self-interest and aiming for the common good, prioritizing the good of the country before the good of ourselves, and being able to fight for our own freedom and rights.